You've been called weak your entire life, too emotional, too fragile. The kind of person who cries during commercials and feels things other people seem to ignore completely. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that maybe you were. The problem, that if you could just control your emotions better, you'd finally fit in. But what if I told you that your tears aren't a mistake? What if the very thing you've been apologizing for is actually a different operating system that most people don't have today? We're going to decode the psychology of people who cry easily. And by the end of this, you'll understand why your emotional sensitivity isn't weakness. It's a superpower that's been misunderstood. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your brain, because this isn't about willpower. This is about hardware. Neuroscience shows that people who cry easily have measurably different brain chemistry. Your tear glands produce higher levels of a hormone called prolactin, the same hormone that regulates emotional release. While most people's brains treat tears as a last resort, your brain treats crying as a primary language. It's not that you're weaker. You're fluent in a dialect most people barely speak. But here's where it gets interesting. Psychology identifies a personality trait that explains this perfectly. It's called high sensitivity, and roughly 15 to 20% of the population has it. If you're in this group, your nervous system is wired to process information more deeply. You don't just notice emotions. You absorb them, you analyze them, and you respond to them with your entire body. Think of it like this. Most people have a standard water filter, efficient, functional, but yours? Yours is a high-performance system that catches everything, including things others don't even know exist, and this is why you cry more. It's not because you're sad more often. It's because your brain is processing emotional data at a depth that requires physical release. Crying isn't a breakdown, it's a pressure valve. Your system is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Now, let's talk about empathy, because this is where your brain becomes truly unusual. Inside your brain, there's a network of neurons called mirror neurons. These are the cells that allow you to feel what others feel. But in highly sensitive people, these mirror neurons are hyperactive. When someone tells you a painful story, your brain doesn't just understand their pain. It simulates their emotional state inside your own body. You're not imagining their sadness. You're experiencing it as if it were your own. This is why watching the news feels unbearable sometimes. Why you need to leave the room during intense movies. Your brain isn't overreacting. It's doing what it was designed to do, connect deeply, but society doesn't reward this. Society rewards the opposite. It rewards people who can detach, who can watch suffering without flinching, who can move on quickly, and so you've learned to see your tears as a problem, something to hide, something to apologize for. But here's what psychology reveals. Emotional suppression doesn't make you stronger. It makes you sicker. Research shows that people who cry regularly have lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that damages your body over time. Tears literally remove toxic chemicals from your system. When you cry, you're not falling apart. You're detoxing. So why do tears make you feel so vulnerable? Because we live in a culture that mistakes emotional numbness for emotional strength. A culture that confuses disconnection with resilience. But let's be clear, the ability to suppress your emotions is not a superpower, it's a survival mechanism. And just because someone can survive in a toxic environment doesn't mean that's where they thrive. Here's the paradox. The same sensitivity that makes you cry easily also makes you extraordinary at things most people struggle with. You read social cues others miss entirely. You sense tension before it becomes conflict. You know when someone is lying, not because of what they said, but because of how the energy in the room shifted. This isn't mystical. This is pattern recognition at a neurological level. Your brain is collecting microdata, body language, tone shifts, facial expressions, and synthesizing it faster than conscious thought. While others are guessing, you already know. And this brings us to the real question. If being sensitive makes life harder, why does this trait even exist? Why didn't evolution eliminate it? Because survival isn't just about strength, it's about awareness. In early human history, tribes didn't just need warriors, They needed scouts. They needed the people who could sense danger before it arrived. The ones who noticed the smallest changes. The ones who felt the emotional temperature of the group and prevented conflict before it exploded. That was you. Your sensitivity wasn't a weakness. It was the early warning system that kept everyone alive. But here's the cost: because you process so much, you hit overload faster. When you suddenly shut down, when you need complete silence, when you can't handle one more conversation, that's not you being dramatic. That's your nervous system reaching capacity. Think of your brain like a computer. Most people are running 3 or 4 programs at once. You're running 20. And when your system is full, it crashes. That's not a character flaw. That's biology. So, what do you do with this? First, stop trying to fix yourself. You don't need thicker skin. You need better boundaries. You need to stop apologizing for needing quiet, for saying no, for protecting your emotional space. The world will always demand more from you because you give so much. But giving until you break isn't noble. It self-destructs. Start treating your sensitivity like the high-performance system it is. That means maintenance, rest, solitude, environments that don't constantly drain you. Second, reframe what crying means. Every time you cry, you're not losing control. You're releasing pressure. You're allowing your body to do what it's designed to do. The people who never cry aren't stronger than you. They're just storing the damage somewhere else, and eventually, that damage shows up: chronic stress, physical illness, emotional numbness. You're doing the healthier thing. You're just doing it in real time. And third, understand this: your tears are not a signal that you're broken. They're a signal that you're awake in a world that's increasingly disconnected, distracted, and desensitized. Your ability to feel deeply is not a burden. It's proof that you haven't shut down. It's proof that you're still human in the fullest sense of the word. The psychology is clear. People who cry easily aren't emotionally unstable. They're emotionally intelligent. They're processing life at a resolution most people will never experience. And yes, that makes life harder. But it also makes life richer, more vivid, more real. You're not too much. You've just been surrounded by people who feel too little. So the next time someone tells you to toughen up, remember this: you don't need to become less sensitive. The world needs to become more human, and that starts with people like you refusing to apologize for feeling everything. Your tears taught you something most people never learn, and that knowledge changes how you see yourself completely. You're not weak. You're wired differently, and in a world that desperately needs more connection, more empathy, more humanity, your sensitivity isn't just valuable, it's essential.